This is an ad by BetterHelp. What's your perfect night? Is it curling up on the couch for a cozy, peaceful night in? Therapy can feel a bit like that, your comfort place where you replenish your energy. With BetterHelp, get matched with a therapist based on your needs, entirely online. It's convenient and suited to your schedule. Find comfort this season with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com to learn more and save 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com.
This is an ad by BetterHelp. What's your perfect night? Maybe you're settled at home alone or with loved ones, covered in blankets, about to watch your favorite show. It's cozy, it's calm, and you're ready for a perfect night in. Therapy can feel a bit like that, a place for comfort, a time when you replenish your energy and take care of yourself. And hey, you can even do it without leaving that same cozy couch. This season is the perfect time to give therapy a try, right from the comfort of home. With BetterHelp, get matched with a tailored therapist based on your needs and preferences entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Find comfort this season with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com.
Fun for the entire family. Make your way on down to the XL Energy Center to catch your Minnesota Wild in action. Tickets are still available for upcoming games. Secure yours today at wild.com/hockey tickets. That's wild.com/hockey tickets.
All right, this is 9 to noon. I'm Alec Lewis, in for Paul Allen. Usually, I just write about the Vikings for The Athletic. I'm a writer. I'm off camera. I guess I'm not on camera now, but I'm off microphone. I also actually have a podcast, The Alec Lewis Show, which I got real creative on the name. If you're going to create, why not create a podcast? Because you're the only one doing it, not 450 billion others, and then use your name, which no one else does. But no, if you enjoy this, enjoy some Vikings talk, you can find that podcast literally anywhere you get your podcast. Would appreciate you guys checking that out. Here with Max Fuller, who is producing the show. Hey. We have had a blast all day after Christmas. In for Paul Allen, like we said, on the Fan. Appreciate Ben Lieber stopping by in studio. Had John Kuhn, longtime Packers fullback, on the air earlier. So it's been a blast. We're going to get to some Vikings questions in this final hour. And I do this sometimes on the podcast, but I'll take whatever you got. You can hit us on the text line, the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line at 64686. Any question you got about the Vikings or about anything. It could be about Red One, the movie. It could be about Max's Christmas, whatever you guys.
No, can't be about my Christmas. I don't know if you saw the text. I talked about my birthday, and someone said, Max, how bad do you want people to know your birthday is on Christmas? Try mentioning Jesus.
Yeah, well, listen.
So, I don't want beef with the big guy, man. So I'm going to take a step back on the birthday thing. But if you want to talk Red One, this is your Red One leader.
So hit us on the text line, 64686 with any Vikings questions you've got. I already have some questions that I'm going to hit right now. I think we should do that right now. That's kind of the plan. I didn't segment these in terms of what I want to answer first, so I'm just going to hop right into it with random ones that I'm picking. This is from the text line. Will the Vikings re-sign Aaron Jones? It's a great question.
Don't usually get that. I was expecting the Darnold to be at the end, but Aaron Jones is not one I've heard asked very often.
Usually we talk about Darnold on the Fan. I mean, it's Darnold. It's the Fan. Sam on the Fan.
Sam the man on the Fan.
It's a very good question. Aaron Jones. I'm going to look this up just so I have it correct. Aaron Jones' age, because I think that's going to factor into the conversation.
Big time.
You can find this on the internet, so I'm going to find it right now. Aaron Jones' age, so I'm correct, is 30 years old. He turned 30 on December 2nd, so it was his birthday recently. I wouldn't rule it out because I think he would probably, he's probably not going to get a long-term deal. Running backs don't Right now across the NFL, it's usually like a 2-year deal with 1 year guaranteed, excuse me. So I definitely think it's possible, especially with the lack of depth behind him. I know Cam Akers has given us some solid run of late. Ty Chandler's still there, but I don't really see him having a formidable role anytime soon. And then with Aaron Jones, in terms of the question of will they re-sign him, like where my mind really goes is how important he has been for this locker room. I mean, he has just, every day you're in there, the connectivity that he has with guys like Justin Jefferson, with guys like Jordan Addison, with the offensive line, with just everybody in there, and just what he's brought from just a leadership professionalism standpoint. I don't think you can overrate that type of stuff. So it absolutely would not surprise me if the Vikings brought Aaron Jones back on like a 1 year guaranteed deal type of situation. He's also represented by Drew Rosenhaus, and he and the Vikings have a great relationship. A lot of these guys are represented by Drew. I would also say, because we're on the subject of running back, it really wouldn't shock me for the Vikings to take a running back in this upcoming draft. Whether it is maybe it's not the Ashton Genty, first round type of swing, even though if that were to be the case, I mean, you might see me in blue and orange. I'd be so excited to get to watch this guy every day. But, this is a very deep running back class. The guy in Iowa, Caleb Johnson, Omarion Hampton in North Carolina. This is very in the weeds Vikings draft talk, but it is a running back class that will be of intrigue from a lot of NFL teams, including the Vikings, in my opinion. So whether it's a Woody Marks of USC kind of late, whether it is an Omarion Hampton of North Carolina, I would look at that position, whether it's the 5th round, whether the Vikings trade back and could get somebody in like the 2nd or 3rd round. That's just a spot beyond the interior of the defensive line, beyond the interior of the offensive line, beyond cornerback, that I would look at as a priority for this upcoming draft. But that is a great question. Taking Vikings questions. Here, hit us on the fan line. Not the fan line, but the text line. I'm all over the map. The Bradshaw and Bryant text line, 64686, with any questions you've got. I'm going to move on here. We've touched a little bit on this, but the question is the impact Pace has on this defense and how important he will be on having him back versus Josh Jacobs in the run game. What I will say here is that, we talked with Ben Lieber about Ivan Pace's impact on the run game, and it is astronomical. Like I looked this stat up, but the Vikings' defensive success rate against the run with Ivan Pace is like 72%, would be the highest in the NFL. Without him, it's like 57%, wow, around 20th in the NFL. Now, there's a lot of factors in those numbers.
Right.
It's not just one player, but beyond even what he allows the Vikings defense against the run, it is also against the pass. Ivan Pace's ability to blitz leaves Blake Cashman in coverage. And so you get better in both respects. You get better against the run, and you're better in coverage. And so it is an exponential effect, just like it was when the Vikings lost Blake Cashman earlier in the year. The 2 games they lost, they did not have Blake Cashman. Part of the reason was Ivan Pace, the blitzer, became Ivan Pace, the coverage player. And so coverage was worse because Blake Cashman was out. These guys are very much yin-yang. I mean, they were the green and red. They blend together perfectly around this time of year for this defense. So
it's like a Voltron situation. They all come together to form Voltron.
It's exactly correct. And you got all these guys who are very unheralded players, signings, draftees, that work really well. And that is really this defense. It is the sum of the parts is what has made it as successful a defense as it's been. So Ivan Pace, we will see. I've talked to people internally. It sounds like it's trending the right way. Sounds like the Vikings really expect to have him, but these guys aren't robots. Like, he's going to test his hamstring full speed in practice, in workouts, and if that thing is ready to rock, then they will proceed, and he will be on the field Sunday, and that will be a very good sign for the Minnesota Vikings. We'll get one more question, then we'll go to break here. Let's see. Hey, guys, with an exclamation mark. You always love that.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
Enthusiastic.
Just great energy. I've said phenomenal 17,000 times today. My question is, what is the threshold Sam has to meet in playoff wins for the Vikings to absolutely keep him? How do they let him walk? Question mark, exclamation point.
This guy's pumped.
I'm not totally, this guy, he's electric. I'm not sure if, to think there is this drop dead threshold to me would probably be the wrong way to think about it. I mean, if Sam Darnold leads the Vikings to a Super Bowl, come on. We all know how that would end. To me, that doesn't seem like me putting together a Rubik's Cube or rocket science or anything like that. If he takes the Vikings to the NFC Championship and performs really well down the stretch for 5 or 4 more games or whatever it is, that's going to be very, very hard too from a lot of different respects. He's got the popularity from a business perspective, the ability to think that this thing could still ascend. You asked the question with incredible energy. How do they let him walk? How do they let Sam Darnold walk? How do they do it? It's a good question. It's not going to be easy, even as we talk with Lieber and we talk about JJ and what that would allow the roster holistically. The reality is, even if that's the route they go, it is not going to be easy. It's just not going to be. So appreciate the question. We'll probably hit more on Sam Darnold when we come back from break. This is 9 to noon.
And if you guys have any more questions, 1-800-320-5326. Text us 64686. And we got the talkback working on the free iHeartRadio app as well.
If you guys call in, we'll take your call.
We'll take the call.
Listen, I'm willing to talk to anybody and everybody who calls in. Appreciate you guys listening to the Fan. I'm Alec Lewis. Max Fuller is producing. We will be back right after the break.
Head over to NFLShop.com for the largest collection of officially licensed gear from all your favorite brands. NFL Shop is your ultimate gifting destination for jerseys, t-shirts, headwear, and more. Take your game day style to the next level with the best selection of NFL gear anywhere. Show off your team pride this holiday season with styles fit for the whole family. To shop now, go to NFLShop.com.
Charge tomorrow at Buffalo Wild Wings Plymouth for the Friday football feast. Be there as the guys get you set for the border battle on Sunday. Enjoy great food, cold drinks, and your chance to win great prizes all morning. Doors open at 8 a.m. Get the full details now at KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Got so many good questions here on the text line. I didn't know if I refreshed it, I'd get 1,700. I keep saying that, too. It's so many questions that we're going to try to get to. I'll tick them off as quick as possible.
Take your time, brother. Take your time. We got till noon. We got to tick them off as fast as possible.
I'm excited, Max. We were happy holidays, you guys, if you're listening. You're obviously listening. Merry Christmas to those who had a fun day yesterday. I'm Alec Lewis. I cover the Vikings for The Athletic. I also have a podcast called The Alec Lewis Show. You can get that on the iHeart, the iHeart app. That's where you get it. It's the best. Honestly, it is the best place to get the Alec Lewis Show. So I recommend that. We're going to get to some Vikings questions as Max hands me documents of questions. This is just incredible stuff. Will Reichard get any votes for Rookie of the Year? Probably not. But you're not going to have to convince me, an Alabama guy who knows the Will Reichard story really well, that he should. What I will tell you is this.
Was he this money at Bama? I'm assuming he was because he got drafted, but was he always this money throughout his kicking career?
Yes, he has been, people describe. I remember right after the draft. So the Vikings draft Will Reichard in the 4th round, and I called Ken Wisenhunt, and PA would say, "How is Ken Wisenhunt?" But I called Ken Wisenhunt. He was a special assistant at Alabama with Nick Saban, and I knew he'd been in the NFL, so he knows what it's like, what kickers succeed, what guys fail, all that stuff. And he said to me, he's like, "This guy, Alec, is ice cold." Ken Wisenhunt could not have been more committed to the idea that Will Reichard was not going to be affected by the environment, by the atmosphere, by the circumstances. Part of the reason Will Reichard went to Alabama, for people who don't know this, is because kicker was the one position Nick Saban could not figure out. Couldn't figure it out. They struggled struggled kicking the football in Nick Saban's first probably decade there. And there was like this idea in Alabama that the kicker position at Alabama was cursed. And Will Riker knew this. And so that's part of the reason he even went to Alabama, was really to end that, to turn that tide. Will is also a guy, just for you guys who don't know, he lost his father to cancer. His father is the reason that he kicked in the first place. And so like he does this for a way bigger picture and way bigger meaning than I think what seems pretty obvious on Sunday. So the guy's been unbelievably impressive, just not surprised by what he's done this year. Another question from the text line. I feel like we hear about this KOC offense so much that we almost never hear about Wes Phillips, the offensive coordinator, and what he has cooking up. Also, shout out Maxo. Missed listening to your bumper music when you were, yeah. They like the bumper music. No, it's a good question. Like, what does Wes Phillips, the offensive coordinator who doesn't call plays, do? Well, a lot of it, he is very, you'll see him on the sidelines. He used to sit up in the box, the Vikings offensive coordinator, Wes Phillips. He's the son of Wade Phillips, the grandson of Bum Phillips, comes from a big-time football lineage. Used to sit up in the box, now he's on the field. And a lot of times what he is doing in real time is kind of plucking plays for Kevin O'Connell to call in the next sequence of plays. So he's almost like he's helping Kevin O'Connell think ahead. He is also interacting with players on the sidelines, kind of assessing the run game. Wes is very big in terms of behind the scenes during the week, helping to tie the Vikings run game to its pass game and helping those kinds of plays mirror up so that the defense has a hard time sorting through what the Vikings are trying to do. But Kevin and Wes Phillips, the Vikings offensive coordinator, they've been together for a long time. They worked together in Los Angeles and were very integral in the Super Bowl that the Rams won in terms of what they did offensively, especially down the stretch of that season. So, it's a great question. I appreciate it. And I really appreciate the shout out to Max. I mean, that's what we're doing here. The Vikings are a good team, someone says. I would agree.
I'd agree. I would say that. Yeah.
But don't you think they need to upgrade the D tackles and the center guard on the O line? Seems that we get steamrolled in these positions. At times, it definitely does feel that way. And I do agree with you completely that upgrades at D tackle and the interior of the offensive line would be massive this offseason. From what I know, the Vikings have done a lot of study of the interior defensive tackle group for this class. They did last year and the year before as well. I think they like Kalijah Cansey. Think they liked Byron Murphy II. And I know they really liked when Byron Murphy II grabbed Sam Darnold's face mask on that final drive. But yes, I mean, there's no question. Like, I think I wrote this stat a bunch of months ago or weeks ago. And like the Vikings, on average, NFL teams are paying their interior defensive line, interior offensive line, like $40 million. And the Vikings are paying their interior defensive line, interior offensive line, like $20 million. So half of what NFL teams pay on average to the interior positions is what the Vikings are paying. And I would say they are getting at least average play out of both of those. And so that production is beyond the pay. To me, that is worth mentioning, but I 100% am with you. I believe Glenn from Litchfield asked the question. It really would behoove this team to upgrade at these spots. I think that will be a priority come the offseason. There's no question about it. Another question from the text line about the Vikings. Our offense is predicated on long developing routes. I really hope we're ready for the Packers to blitz a lot in order to not let those plays develop. I mean, this might be Matt LaFleur. He might be trying to get us.
Right. How genius would that be to listen in on the Vikings station?
Matt LaFleur, noted KFAN text line. What you guys don't know is the relationship he and PA have. I'll leave that for Paul Allen. But there's no question that this is correct. The Vikings offense is predicated on long developing routes. And you guys out there listening might ask why. Why do they have all these long developing routes? Well, what is Justin Jefferson's greatest skill set? What is Jordan Addison's greatest skill set? It is down the field route running to be able to display every tool in their bag. And so part of the reason Kevin O'Connell has designed this offense the way he has is to bring out, to maximize to maximize the skill sets of the players that they are paying the most and that they have put as much resources as they have put into. And so it's an astute point, as much as I joke, that the Vikings should be ready for blitzes. That's why I brought it up with Ben Lieber. You watch this Packers defense on film all the time. They are bringing guys from weird spots and they are stunning and moving when you don't expect it. And as I said with Lieber, that was a theme to me in what I saw against the Cardinals and what I saw against the Falcons. At times, these defenses have been able to get Sam Darnold and get this Vikings offense with pressures from all different spots. And so it is worth keeping an eye out for come Sunday. Max, on the text line, somebody needs a hootie who.
Of course. Oh, give me a drum roll, please. I need to load it up real quick. It's like dial-up internet. Yes, sir. Wasn't a whole lot of who's being hootied yesterday after the Wolves almost blew that lead, but we still hooty-hoo, and a W is a W, baby.
That's exceptional. Allows me to catch my breath and just enjoy. It allows me to be a fan, to be honest. Let's see. Next question from the text line. And if you're missing out, you can hit us with a Vikings question at 64686. That's the Bradshaw and Bryant text line. And you can just hit us at any time. Someone says, I was surprised that you mentioned running back for the 2025 draft. I thought a weakness of this Vikings team was its run blocking. Do you think the Vikings would pick up another run blocking lineman in free agency? I cannot respond yes faster enough with more aggression that I believe this Vikings team will seek an interior offensive lineman, potentially at right guard, and absolutely must. I mean, there's no question. You know, you talk to people. It is a priority for this Vikings team, like I said, to improve both the interior spots on each side of the line. I think that can be done through the draft. I think that can be done through free agency. And as long as the Vikings have the cap space to do it, those are positions that you will see in every story I write this offseason at The Athletic about potential additions for this team. But I also think running back will exist as a potential late round option. That's for sure. We are rattling off questions, Vikings questions. We are hooty-hooing here the day after Christmas here on The Fan, having a lot of fun. I am Alec Lewis. Traditionally, I cover the Vikings for The Athletic, and I that's for profit. Max Fuller is the producer of this show. He is also a legend here locally inside these walls.
I wouldn't
and
say
we
that.
are having we're having fun here on The Fan. Stay tuned after the break. More Vikings questions coming up next.
Head over to NFLshop.com for the largest collection of officially licensed gear from all your favorite brands. NFL Shop is your ultimate gifting destination for jerseys, t-shirts, headwear, and more. Take your game day style to the next level with the best selection of NFL gear anywhere. Show off your team pride this holiday season with styles fit for the whole family. To shop now, go to NFLshop.com.
All right, welcome back to 9 to Noon. I'm Alec Lewis, in for Paul Allen, without the hair, without the thesaurus, and I'm here. Max Fuller is helping me produce the show. Max, appreciate you being here the day after Christmas.
I appreciate you being here the day after Christmas.
It's a lot of fun, brother. Yeah, it always is when we get to do this, so I do not take it for granted. I'm going to start, asked for a bunch of Vikings questions. That's kind of how we've done the final hour. It's been fun to just kick it around with you guys on the text line, the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. But I'm going to start, before I get to another question, I got this email with data, Vivid Seats data. The average ticket price for this weekend, you know what it is?
No.
For this weekend's game on Sunday.
A hundo.
$351.
My God.
The best deal is $337.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah. The fan forecast is found about a fourth of the U.S. Bank Stadium is projected to be cheeseheads.
I don't like that.
23%. I don't know.
It's kind of high.
It's kind of high. It's a big game. You know, people are coming out for it.
They took over Seattle. If that's the case, they can kind of take over anywhere. But we ain't gonna let them do that here in Minneapolis.
I gotta tell you, I will never forget. I mean, Jacksonville. You had teal seats, but it was just purple. The whole stadium.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I don't blame anybody. Nobody lives here anyway. It's a terrible place, Jacksonville. Okay. No, I'm kidding. There. We'll get back to some questions, and then we'll get out of here on 9 to noon, and then pass it on to Sinekin. The Sultan of Smug. Hey,
right.
They're giving you guys
from all purple to all
fine,
Packers.
Fine. If you guys want Packers, I'll leave it for you. I guess.
And bread, just doubling up on the cheese.
Yeah, that's a bold risk from Chad up top. But if he wants to do it, then that's what he wants to do. Here's a question from the text line. The question we are all waiting for: what has been Cam Bynum's best selly of the year?
Oof. Now, see, that's the hardest question that's been asked yet.
What do you think?
I gotta go with the white chick Selly. I mean, that to me, people my age, that movie's iconic. I knew right away what they were going for.
So
and
you knew
the choreography. Oh yeah, I called it out right away. I'm an elite white chick's mind in more ways than one. But as soon as they started doing the dance,
wow!
I was like,
oh my
god, I'm pretty sure that's the dance from White Chicks. And all of them. It's like picking between your favorite kid. I mean, all of them have been genius. All of them have been well executed. And the choreography is insane. Even the Camp Rock one last week was awesome. So it almost seems like, though, they're doing too well. I don't know how they can keep taking it to another level.
Well, Cam has a team. See, what people don't know here is he has Cam. His sister is very locked in.
Oh, okay.
She's very engaged.
So she's in the lab.
And he's got, and I'm telling you, his parents, I mean, He's got sources all over the map. The funny thing is you knew that it was the white chick celebration in the moment. Like, we're in Seattle, and it was raining. It was Seattle.
Yeah.
And we're in the press box, and they're doing the celebration. What was it? Camp Rock. And Dane Mizutani of the Pioneer Press, good friend of mine, covers the team very well for the Pioneer Press. He'll
be on listening in a little bit.
I think that's Camp Rock. How would you know that in the moment? Like, it's so, and I've seen Camp Rock. Like, Demi Lovato, she's got it, like, for sure. But I think the best, I don't know, the ray gun one. I mean,
the ray gun one that's top
flopping
tier.
On the ground. I mean, what are we doing? My favorite is when Brian Flores comes to the press conference every Tuesday and he's like, another good celebration. They've done a good job. I really have appreciated and enjoyed. You're like, Brian, just enjoy. No, but he's more a film guy. No, it's been very fun to watch Cam, and I like, and this is not to, I almost feel bad, but sat down with Cam maybe like a few weeks ago and just talked about this. And what I hope people understand with Cam Bynum and the celebrations is how much they are an emblem of like his entire story. Like the fact that he has even made it here, he was not a high recruit. He was the fifth string cornerback on JV in California.
Wow.
He got up every single morning at 4:30 in the morning and worked with this trainer named Anthony Brown for like a decade. And those drills he still does to this day. And he swears the only reason that he is here, Cam Bynum, is because of those drills and refining technique. And so these dance moves are, and the celebrations are kind of an expression of why he even got here in the first place. And he's just such a good dude. Like you saw him Christmas caroling yesterday. You saw those videos. But like Cam, you can't say enough about this guy at all. Another question from the text line. It seems the Vikings have taken advantage of the Packers' youth the last two seasons. Will the Vikings be able to take advantage of this aspect this late in the season? I don't know. It's not really, this Packers youth is very talented youth. I mean, Tucker Kraft, the tight end, extremely talented. Edgerrin Cooper, their linebacker edge rusher guy, incredibly talented. Their receivers, yes, they will drop passes, be it Dontavian Wicks or Romeo Dobbs or Jaden Reed, but these guys can be very dynamic across the middle of the field. So to me, it is less about taking advantage of the youth and more about both sides are going to be so well coached, so locked in, so motivated, so ready for the environment, that it is just going to be about execution at the highest degree for the team that wins this game. And it is not going to be easy for Minnesota, even though I think they will be well in the fight, and I will probably pick them to win because of the dynamics around this team. We'll get to a couple more here from the text line. If you're late and you're listening, you're hopping in, you're like, I want to ask a question about the Vikings. We're here for you.
We still got time.
The Holla Hotline, which doesn't roll off the tongue for me, is the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line 64686. Text us a Vikings question. We'll get to it. Hey, Alec, are the Vikings actively trying to limit and spread the D-line edge rusher snaps around these past few weeks? That's 100% the case. It's a very, whoever asked this question, you are very locked in. You are paying very close attention. You have seen that they've mixed in, whether it's Dallas Turner at edge, whether it's Jamin Davis in the game. They recognize this Viking staff that Jonathan Grenard and Andrew Van Ginkel specifically have played a ton of snaps. A ton. The same goes for Harrison Phillips on the interior, Jonathan Bullard on the interior. And there's no question that time throughout a season and the duration of a season test a guy's stamina and a team's stamina at a very high level. And so, this Viking staff knows they're in the playoffs. They obviously are playing and will be going as full out for these two games as they can. But for them to give themselves the best chance down the stretch here, giving those guys, Andrew Van Ginkel and Jonathan Grenard and other guys in the interior defensive line, rest has been a priority. And we will see how that looks in a game that is as highly competitive as Sunday is. Let's see here. Is there any update on Harrison Smith? I haven't heard anything yet on his foot. Great question. Harrison Smith missed Sunday's game with the little foot injury that popped up throughout over last week. The Vikings did not practice on Christmas on Wednesday, but on the injury report, Harrison Smith was listed as a DNP. Does that cause great concern for me? No, it does not. I expect Harrison Smith to play in this game. I know how much he will relish this environment. I saw someone ask earlier, could this be Harrison Smith's last home game ever? Well, if they win the game, they can secure the number one seed. And they can, they
at least got one more.
They're playing at home. Then he's got more. But even if they cannot do that, I would not rule out the fact that Harrison Smith returns to the Vikings for another year. It's dependent on a lot of things, how far the season goes, how good he feels down the stretch. But I've talked to people close to him. I think there have been times this year where he's felt better this year than he did even last year. And I know how much he likes playing for Brian Flores and likes the challenge that this defense presents the players in terms of how effective they have to be on the field, but also the challenge that this defense presents to offenses. And he has said to me in the past, Harrison Smith, just in private conversations of there is nothing that can replace these Sundays, the adrenaline of it, the mental stress of it. And I mean, this is a guy who learned how to fly planes. This is a guy who he has a plot of land in Tennessee where he just bulldozes stuff. This is not a normal guy. And so to take that adrenaline rush that Sundays are away from him, I think will be pretty tough. He obviously has a family that he cares a ton about and a couple kids. So that will be a priority for him as well. But I'm just not there ready to say that this could be the final home game of his career. I'm just not there yet. Let's see. A question from the text line that's very good. Can a player that has been franchise tagged still be traded? Yes. And I do think, as we talk about Sam Darnold's future and the options, that's one of them. Because the question you guys listening to this might be why would you franchise tag a guy and then trade him? Well, if you were to do that, you could create a draft pick for the right now. I believe in 2009 or so, Matt Castle was franchise tagged and traded for a second round pick. And so the team that traded him, it might have been the Patriots at the time, they received a second round pick for doing that right now. Whereas if Sam Darnold were to walk in free agency, you would maybe get a comp pick that caps as a third round pick like a year from now. So you would be generating a premium draft pick in the present, which would be pretty valuable, like beyond the resources that you would gain from just having JJ and a lesser expensive quarterback and the resources you could spend. You could also potentially generate a draft pick in the present. That'd be pretty valuable. So it's an option, and it's definitely an interesting one. Let's see. Hey, Alex and Max. I mean, of course it's Alex.
It's got to be Alex.
Yeah, it has to be. Just wondering what you think of the growth of young Dallas Turner. He's been getting more reps, and it seems like he's starting to figure some things out. Max, what do you think? He's asking you.
I think he's been, obviously he's been sort of, there was a stretch there where he was sort of limited with his snaps on the field, but ever since, I mean, obviously we saw, what was it, a week or two ago, he got the key interception in the game, and he's been playing a lot better, and you see that he has the physical abilities. I mean, I'm not an elite football mind like you are, but even during the preseason, you could see that this guy has the tools. He just needs to learn the game itself. He needs to get it between the ears, and it seems like he probably sitting back and obviously being such a part of a scheme like B-Flows, he's slowly learning the game, and obviously, so he has the physical tools, and now he's getting the mental tools to allow him to fully activate his physical tools. So I think he's going to end up being great. It just takes some time, and this Vikings defense is so talented. There's not a whole lot of room or need, which I guess it's a pro con type thing, but there's not a whole lot of need for Dallas Turner. But it's obviously great to have him and his abilities, but we don't desperately need him to make an impact on the team, so it allows him to kind of have a more natural growth.
No, I think that's exactly right. I mean, the first point in terms of Dallas Turner, it's when you're behind Jonathan Grenard and Andrew Van Ginkel, and they are tearing it up the way they have all season, reps are going to be limited. But the reality of it is reps are absolutely essential for edge rusher development in the NFL. This is a position that takes time. It's kind of how it's been described to me by people who know ball and are inside the game. Developing edge rushers like developing a pitcher. You have to put him on the mound and you have to let him throw his changeup. Time and time and time again, for him to get a feel for that changeup, for him to know his release of point, for it to feel comfortable for him. And for Dallas Turner, from a pass rush standpoint, you have to know kind of the timing that you can supply your specific moves. And that takes reps in real games against really high-level tackles that are very well prepared and well studied. And so I really think things are kind of on the up regarding Dallas Turner, and it's not a surprise. It just takes time, and we live in a society right now, and especially in this game, in this sport, in the NFL, patience doesn't really exist.
Right.
So it's as much as you can have it, I think, is good. Theo Jackson is a stud. Will he be starting next year? I agree. I do think he's a stud every single time that he's been on the field, both in game, both in training camp, both in OTAs. This guy performs. He finds the ball. He's very well liked internally in the locker room. Just a good guy. His locker's right next to Cam Bynum's. He's got too much goodness over there in that side of the locker room. Will he be starting next year? It's a good question. We'll see what happens at safety. We'll see where he fits or not. But that's it. We'll see. That's a lot of Vikings questions, Max. It's a blast to answer them. I want to finish with this. I started with the 3 statements about Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
And the other thing I was thinking about last night as I kind of prepared for this was just the camaraderie of this team. I don't have this scripted out, by the way, so this is just
speaking from the heart.
Off the dome. I've been around a lot of teams, and since I've covered professional sports now 6-7 years. It's not a long time, but it's long enough. And there has definitely been, for me, especially being here in Minnesota, there is a difference in terms of both vibes and how they mesh together, this team, and how they talk together and how they mingle. I go, people don't know, but people ask all the time, what do you do every day? So I go to the Vikings facility, and we go and we interview players and we interview coaches, and you're standing around the locker room. And a lot of that time, you just spent idle. You don't want to bother guys, but you just watch. And I've watched all year how these guys interact. And it is Jonathan Bullard, who has no business talking to Justin Jefferson, and they're having a private conversation in the corner. Or on the other side, you're seeing Blake Cashman mingle with TJ Hawkinson, 2 guys on different sides of the ball. And this stuff, this past week, on Tuesday night, These guys had an ugly sweater party at an undisclosed location around Minnesota, and that was organized by the players. You saw Nick Mullins there wearing a sweater with Theo Jackson, with Jonathan Grenard, and I'm sure all teams do this type of stuff, but I think with this specific Vikings team, the thing that has impressed me and has stood out to me is they don't just do it, but they like really enjoy being together. And they enjoy, like Harrison Smith said earlier this year to me, he's like, Alec, you know, sometimes when you work in the NFL, like, yeah, it's a blast. Where football players get paid millions of dollars, it's awesome. But there are days where you go to work and it's just like you going to work to write or Max going to work to produce. And you're just like, this is monotonous. This gets tired. You don't really want to go. But he said with this specific team, going back to the spring, even when they're here, when they don't have to be here in voluntary workouts, like they want to be there. Harrison Smith drives to work and it is like I can't wait to see the guys. I can't wait to see the plan that Brian Flores has laid out for us. And I will end it with this. And this is not some bold, crazy statement, but I think so much of it, so much goes back to Justin Jefferson, not the player. Not the player. We can talk all the time about ball tracking, physicality, route running, but the person and how much he pushes everybody in that building to be as good as they have become, and how much he enjoys the relationships and all that. That to me, Matt has been so much to this team with Kirk moving on and him kind of ascending into that role. To me, that's been huge.
Talk about it.
This music makes me feel like, I mean, I'm in an oasis or something.
You're preaching.
This has been a blast. I'm Alec Lewis. I write about the Vikings for The Athletic. I also have a podcast called The Alec Lewis Show that you can find on the iHeart app. Max Fuller produced today. He did an exceptional job.
Oh, thank you.
We have fun every time we're doing this. I hope we get to do it again. That is 9 to noon. Hope you guys have a great holiday. Enjoy this game this weekend. It should be an absolute blast.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.
You wake up, put on your Ray-Ban Meta glasses. You're living all in. You realize you need coffee. So you say,
Hey, Meta, how do I make a latte?
Brew 2 shots of espresso.
after Meta AI gets you caffeinated, you're ready for some beats.
Hey, Meta, play hip-hop music.
You head to meet some friends, but can't remember the place.
Hey, Meta, call Eva.
Ray-Ban Meta glasses, the next generation of AI glasses. Just say, hey, Meta, to harness the power of Meta AI. Shop now at meta.com/smartglasses.